Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Economic Times Roundtable discussion on the topic Revolution Incoming Accelerating Industry 4.0 with Cloud. This session is a part of the Digital Convergence series powered by AWS and Deloitte. I am Dimple Patra from Edge, welcoming you all to this session. Enterprises' interest in shifting to the cloud has grown significantly in the recent years, as they see the benefits that a cloud-led approach can provide. The rise of remote operations, the emergence of digital economy, and the expansion of the technical ecosystem and capabilities surrounding cloud computing have all accelerated the rate of change. The shift to the cloud enables unique opportunities for enterprises, but navigating this shift needs the right strategy and expertise to succeed as they look to move large and complex workloads to the cloud. India's manufacturing sector is seeing winds of change. The focus on end-to-end optimization and remote operations are driving a shift in the investments in connected operations. Industry 4.0 and cloud technologies are enabling rapid rollout of IT convergence platforms. The capabilities in cloud infrastructure today enables fast and accurate progression of data generated insight, which is in turn enabling outcomes on ground that were difficult to attain earlier. In today's session, we will hear from the C-suite on how they are reimagining business models through digital enabled by cloud, align the strategic vision of digital transformation with on-ground outcomes for the customers and the key factors for success. We have a prestigious panel to take us through today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the speakers we have with us today. Yogesh Dadke, APAC IT Leader, Adient, Dr. Yasak, CISO, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, Dhaval Pandya, Corporate CIO, Piramal Enterprises Limited, Soumyadeep Chakrabarti, Head Digital Transformation, Vikram Solar, Deepak Bhosle, GMIT, Asian Paints India Limited, Mayank Bedi, Assistant Executive Director IT, Dalmia Cement, M. Prabhakar Rao, AVP, IT and IS, Natco Pharma Limited, Manu Gupta, Vice President, Information Technology, Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited, Puneet Bugra, Principal Partner Leader for APJ and Head Industrial Solutions, AISPL, Shridhar Kamath, Partner, Deloitte India. And the session will be moderated by Amit Saluja, Senior Director and Head of NASSCOM, Gandhinagar Center of Excellence. Without further ado, I now invite Amit to take it from here. Over to you, Amit.
Great, thanks, Dimple. And hi, everyone. It's kind of really pleasure to be with you and talk to you on the very important, really focus area that we all of us have within the manufacturing sector. And digital transformation we have been seeing since many years, but I think now, especially in the post-COVID, we have reached a stage where the acceleration has started happening and then it has to be accelerated further. So I'm really looking forward to talk to you to understand from you how your experiences have been, what kind of strategies have really worked over the last 1 or 2 years. And so what would be your advice on this to basically make sure that we continue to move in the right direction. So let me first start with our topic is around the connected operations. Right? So, and post-COVID connected operations, definitely it has become a new normal. The thing is, everyone is talking about it. I'm not sure any company is not kind of worrying about this. Everyone wants to do it. But the problem comes up is that in terms of getting to know what I should be doing or what my strategy should be, how my technology or a digital strategy should look like, what should be my roadmap. So that's where a lot of questions still comes up. So let's maybe start the discussion, maybe focus more around the how do we set the strategy right before we talk into the specific areas where we can work. So Shridhar, I would request you to maybe just kind of initiate this discussion. Considering you work as a kind of a consultant, you work with many of the manufacturing companies across the areas. So I think would be great to kind of get your insights upon what are your thought process on the strategies that you are seeing companies building up on the digital, especially on the industry 4.0, what they are really looking forward to, what we have heard from them, what challenges they are facing. So, I mean, whatever you could say about the strategy part of it.
Sure. Thanks, Amit. And I think it's a great area to start with, because if I look at in the last couple of years, the conversations that we've been having with different clients and what's becoming really important post-COVID, right? Clearly connected operations has got many facets to it. And what we have heard organizations look at is in terms of the themes that are emerging. One is in terms of real-time visibility, right? And therefore, organizations are trying to understand how they can get a visibility across the value chain. And when I say across the value chain, right from suppliers to the manufacturing, to the logistics, to customers, so that we have a real-time exchange of information happening both ways. And when I say both ways, one is customers do know what's happening in the operations and how their orders are going to be met. And the other way around, both manufacturing, logistics, and suppliers, they know what's happening downstream and what are the kind of disruptions that are happening in the way customers are ordering, and therefore they can make changes to their value chain to make this work. So one theme that we are seeing is visibility. The second theme that we are also seeing is in terms of insights and analysis of data, right? And that's where probably also cloud comes in, because the amount of data that is now getting generated, whether it is in the field, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is in logistics and so on, is immense. And as operations are getting connected, how can we leverage this information and draw insights from it, which will lead to some action? So that's the other theme that we are seeing continuously emerging in the discussions. The third thing, and but however coming up also, is in terms of the cost versus the benefit, right? And therefore, as organizations are drawing up their strategies, what we see is probably two different points of view, right? One is where you're saying that, do I create a large enterprise level strategy and then put the resources behind it, or do I look at, here are the 5 key problems in my value chain which I need to solve for, and put in point solutions to it, which may be less intensive in terms of capital expenditure, but will give me the benefits that I saw at this point I want, right? And that's the conundrum, if you will, that organizations are looking at, is in the long term versus the short term pain that I'm trying to address. So these are a few of the key pointers that we have seen or heard from our clients.
Great, thanks. These are, I think, you have brought in the very kind of right points, and especially around the cloud and the insight-driven organization. I think that's where a lot of those decisions are being taken. So while we are really talking about, I think, Shridhar, you talked about so much of it data is lying around, and there is hardly, while there is analysis happening, but if we really talk about the real-time decision-making or data-led decision-making, I'm still not sure at how much of it is happening. So let's kind of talk about what are the things that we can do to make use of this data. So a lot of these data are sitting in the records. So with this, what should be the way to build an insight-driven organization? And for that, say, Puneet, can I come to you? And considering there are a lot of work that you are doing around this area, can we get your thoughts on this?
Sure, Amit. And first of all, it's a great pleasure to be on call with you all. Looking forward to this chat and learning and talking about a lot of things that our customers are working with us. So Amit, you brought a very good point here. Absolutely spot on. There's so much of data lying around, but I'm wondering at many times when I talk to customer, when they come to me with a problem, they just at times they don't even know that data is already there and they can do a lot of things with them. All we need is bringing real-time data, picking up historical data, contextualizing together, and kind of building insights out of it. To Sridhar's earlier point, there's so much of things they can derive that it astonishes me at many times. I'll give you an example. One of the customer, which is Coca-Cola, they have a bottling plant in ISEC, which serves almost about 10 countries, including Middle East and Pakistan and Turkey and so on and so forth. They've got about 400 million consumers. They have so much of data that when they came to us saying, we need to build a digital twin capability, help us understand what we can derive out of this data, what we can contextualize with the real time, and how we can build things out of this. Within just 2 months, we were able to connect some of their plants, get insights out of their processes, which kind of told us that their clean in place process can be optimized to a large extent, which essentially means we were able to get the data to tell them or show them that the process optimization can save them as high as about 20% energy annually and as high as 9% of the water spend that they were consuming. Bottom line, data can give us so much of insights, provided we can connect that dots, can do better analysis and figure it out what it's missing, and then optimize the processes. So that's just one example. There are so many other examples that I can talk about where the value or the insights, the data has helped our customers optimize their processes and deliver better experiences with their products.
Okay, thank you. So Dhaval, can we also on the same topic, while we are talking about building data-driven organizations, I think considering you have, within your plants, you have really kind of taken a lead and done a lot of these things. What kind of experiences you would like to share? So maybe something around what use cases you have seen in your organization, which has really worked in taking the real-time decisions, and or maybe what challenges you came across while you were implementing it, getting them implemented.
Yeah, very good afternoon, and thanks a lot, Amit. And I think I largely agree with what Puneet was saying earlier. You come think of it, there is really no shortage of data. What sometimes becomes a challenge is that two things. One, is the right data available? Is it available at the right time? And is it available of the right quality? I think these three become very, very critical when you're especially talking about going the insight-driven way. Because it's not the volume of data, while with technologies like AI and ML, there is an element of learning where volume of data definitely helps. But more importantly, when you're talking about insights, it is the quality of data that matters the most, and also the availability of the data at the right point in time matters the most. So for example, if I'm talking about connected operations here and automating the shop floor, and maybe I have a 3-stage production process. Now, if I'm drawing insights from the preceding production process, which we try to do, and make it available to the next production process so that it can tweak itself accordingly, it is important that the data is available, number one, in time, and number two, it is available of the right quality. Because, a lot of these systems work on very lean operations also. These are not very data storage heavy systems. At best, you may have a historian, which is largely used for reporting, which is post facto. But not much you would be, and that's where I think we move to the Azures and the AWSs of the world, which you can seamlessly connect with your connected shop floor and get the right insights. So the challenges that we face were largely around making the right data available at the right point in time, because we were also trying to mimic some industry 4.0 principles, which largely talks about decentralized decision making and smart machines. Where you are largely just layering the information which is available from the preceding stages and making it available to the next machine, so to say, like a cobot kind of an operation, not necessarily a completely human-centric decision-oriented decision making that we are talking about. So what becomes important is that I think is your information architecture rightly thought through or not? That becomes the make or break in these scenarios, because you are having different kinds of applications. You may be on a multi-cloud already, and you may also be investing into certain next generation technologies such as AI, ML. So all of them need data, all of them produce data, but possibly the data that is needed and produced is not of the same, is not of the same type. So, then if you get into ETLs and ingresses and exgresses and stuff like those, then the problem becomes so much more compounded. So having a rightly thought through information architecture is extremely important. And I think we need to pay a lot of attention to the joints, especially, or the integrations or the APIs that we are talking about, because that becomes very important when you're talking about autonomous kind of operations, because these also become very vulnerable spots from a security perspective. That these would be the first that would get targeted if someone were to target, because that's where they can get into your landscape and do the malicious work that they intend to do. So definitely the right type of data, the right information architecture, and the right security posture. I think these are the some 2 or 3 considerations that become very, very important when you're talking about the data management strategy and connected operations.
Great. Yeah, I think very rightly said. And then since you talked so much about the architecture point of view and also the strategy, and I think while we're talking architecture, we can't we need to talk about the cloud, right? So especially after the COVID, cloud has really become in fact the boardroom discussion also. It is not just the digital. Cloud comes with that, and let's see that how are we seeing cloud as a transformation strategy, and how it has evolved over the last few years. So Prabhakar, would like to get your views on building the cloud strategy and how and the transformation that we are seeing, which is enabled by the cloud, because all of the data that we just talked about, everything, we need a cloud for that.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, thank you for inviting me to this August gathering. Glad to be part of this session. I think to talk about the cloud and to talk about our journey towards the cloud, I think it reminds me of a quote which says, truth passes through 3 stages. One is, it is ridiculed. About 10 years back, people were saying cloud is not our cup of tea. Okay, so it was being ridiculed about 10 years back. Okay, and then it is violently opposed, and third, it becomes self-evident. Okay, so any truth actually passes through 3 stages, and I see that happening in this case also. Having said that, I think so what we are seeing right now is there is a section of the industries which are embracing the cloud very openly, very they are embracing the cloud very easily. There is a section of the industry which is taking baby steps towards it, or cautious steps towards it, and there is a section which has gone and come back also. Okay, so that is where the question of the hybrid cloud is coming, and people are in a hybrid mode also. So there are sections which are on-premise and hybrid. So I think most of the pharma companies come in that category. There are some applications there are workloads which have been moved to the cloud, and there are workloads which are necessarily required to be on-premise. Okay, so for various reasons. Okay, so I think that is the way it is. The hybrid cloud has come. It is not by design, but by accident. I would say that that some loads have gone to the cloud and some are designed to be on the premise. And so I think that's happening. And then of course the necessity in terms of the data, and the necessity in terms of the analytics, the necessity in terms of the compute requirements, etc., are forcing us, or actually are the pointers that are leading us to move towards the cloud. One of the such cases that we have looking at the cloud is for the disaster recovery. Okay, I think the best option is to go to the cloud so that you have a better resilience as compared to any other option. So that there is we can actually bank on that part. So resilience is the key that we are looking at, and some of the workloads that we are looking at for the cloud is in that direction, to see that we have the compute and the resilience also. Okay, and of course there are workloads which the productivity tools, etc., that can very well be good candidates for the cloud. So say field operations or field management applications, they are all good candidates for the cloud. So that's our take on the cloud. Right. I hope I have answered your question, Amit.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, thank you for bringing out especially the resiliency part of it. And the I think as an enterprises, resiliency has become the kind of key areas. I mean, a key thing. I mean, that we really need to have. I mean, with the so much of uncertainties that we are seeing in the systems, right? So we always kind of need to kind of be prepared for any kind of an disruption which is happening. Like I think COVID has really taught us this. I mean, how to be resilient and how to kind of prepare ourselves. All of us has already know, and then we have talked about like how the companies who kind of were better prepared with the digital in place kind of did much better when the crisis really happened. So I think it says that how important the resiliency is. So I think we are talking about the disruptions part of it, and the and then what kind of challenges that it can really bring in. And the biggest disruption I see here, which has really happened in the last 1.5 to 2 years, is on the supply chain side. Like raw material cost and the availability of the material to every manufacturer has become a real bottleneck. I mean, I've kind of visited a number of plants over the last 2 months. And if I ask everyone that what is the biggest pain point right now have, I mean, the whole question comes up is the raw materials. So the supply chain is really has got disrupted. So let's talk about it. How do you manage these disruptions in the supply chain with the digital? What are some of the kind of best practices I can say, or what are the things, what kind of solutions have really worked to minimize these, minimize the impact with the disruptions that we are seeing? Yogesh, can I ask you to kind of take on this question and share your views on how really digital can help in minimizing the disruption and making these supply chains more transparent?
Sure. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invite. I know arranging this kind of calls and the forum speakers is not an easy task. So all the credits to Bhumi and a team for arranging this one. To answer your question, at least at Adient side of it, being a automotive car seat manufacturing organization, our challenges are extremely high because of the raw material cost. We all have seen steel cost, copper cost going skyrocketing on it, and as well as shipping the material, the finished good from our side to the OEM. That is also going high. To keep a control on it, we actually go with a very simple strategy of it. First is, wherever there is a possibility of repetitive operations, we identified those, at least 18 of them in our SPM scenarios, and try to give an automated solution by adding up a little bit of, chatbots or your Autobots from the supply chain perspective, as well as the most important things point of view are wherever there is human safety, ergonomics issues involved in it, complexities, and as well as the small applications which are part of the entire ecosystem, applying the 6R mechanisms to it, whether it can be rehosted, repaired, re-platformed, etc., etc. And then we took it towards towards the cloud strategies. That really helped us worked well overall, making sure our cost optimization is up to the mark, and as well as choosing the right partners. We are not going with one single partner for the cloud based on the application, based on the global situations, and as well as global presence with the organization that we have. We are choosing the cloud partners as per our need and not going with a big mega approach. Every organization will go through this kind of thought processes, strategies, and define their own budget level, local P&L level decisions. And last but not the least is about Industry 4.0. All those about smart beans, digital warehouses, your manufacturing execution systems, the equipment analysis part of it or gauging part of it, wherever there is a possibility to apply some dashboard which can automate your solutions, proactive alerting, monitoring, that we have implemented, helped us react to the situation quickly rather than waiting on certain maintenance activity to happen and then it impacts on the production line kind of. So I know I kind of summarized all those situations in front of you. May not have given direct answer, but let me know if it suffices. Thank you.
No, that's great. So I think we will definitely kind of drill down more around these kind of multiple areas we talked about. So essentially, basically, we were our discussion, we were focused around 3 broad areas, correct? So we talked about the strategy part of it, then we talked about the data, and then we moved on to where we talked about the resiliency that we really need within the organization. So, and these 3, but I think at the end, it is all about how do you kind of make different functions more kind of prepared for these disruptions or the changes. So let's maybe between us, let's talk about what are some of the multiple or a common use cases that we are seeing, which has become extremely important now in the current context. So I think supply chain, we just started talking about it. Maybe we can kind of drill deeper into some of those use cases. I think now I would like to kind of hear from you, because I think in each of your organizations, you would have seen areas where the challenges were more, or the areas that you identified where the adoption, digital adoption, or the industry 4.0 solutions were very much kind of needed. So let's get a different industry perspective now, and then talk about what are the use cases we are seeing, which really need attention in terms of applying the digital solutions there. So maybe I'll come to Soumyadeep. So what kind of use cases you have seen, or what's your priority use cases have been while you have been working?
Sure. Hi, Amit. Hi, everybody. Is my voice audible?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I represent solar. Now in solar, we basically cater to a number of activities, be it the solar panel manufacturing, which is a hardcore discrete manufacturing process. And also we are in the area of EPC, whereby we set up the solar power plant. And on the other hand, we also run operations and maintenance, whereby we manage the various solar plants and in order to achieve the best efficiency that one can have. Now, obviously, therefore, if I look at these 3 different buckets, the kind of opportunities as well as the use cases are also a little different across them. But the kind of underlying paradigm will remain the same. And that kind of prevails when I talk to my counterparts across different industries. There are 3 steps for the digital transformation journey of any organization. As I believe in that particular school of thought. The first step is digitization. Digitization is that whereby you have the set of data, which is in the non-digital form, you create the digital form out of them. The second one is a digitalization. In the digitalization is that, and not only the data part of it, you also automate the process. And your traditional ERPs as well as the other systems are basically based on that, whereby you create the processes which are fairly automated. And the third area is digital transformation. Of course, sometimes we call the entire contour as digital transformation, but the digital transformation pretty much caters to once you have the digitalization, what you are doing with the whole set of data that you are getting, how you are building the insights that some of the previous speakers have actually mentioned. So in our case, when we specifically come to the manufacturing part, the industrial IoT or the industry 4.0 use cases are pretty similar. When you talk about the connected machines, when you talk about getting the real-time data which are there and what you are going to build on the top of it. Some of the use cases are basically building the real-time visualization out of the data points, number one. Number two will be once you have the data, you store it in the cloud, and then how you can create the various insights out of it, be it the predictive maintenance one, or be it the bottleneck prediction, or be it your raw material or spare parts prediction, etc. So that is a whole set of predictive analytics or AI-driven use cases that one can build on the top of it. Apart from that, there are other use cases. For example, the defect detection, whereby you can actually determine the future performance of your solar panels based on some of the visual cues. So how you can kind of build all these things, take all these things from your cloud data, whereby you can put it in the form of a decision engine and build a model around that. If I shift my focus to the other spectrum of the activities, which is around, when you manage the different solar plants, then the use cases will be manifold. So for example, the solar plants will be how you can monitor the performance of the production that you are getting, how you can get the future reliability of the solar plant by tilting the various phases of the solar modules, how you can predict when a particular inverter is undergoing a breakdown. So these are some of the other interesting use cases. If you address these use cases, then the benefits are tremendous. You can predict exactly how your business is going to go about. You can showcase them in order to get the future business. So the potential is tremendous. So we actually believe in the underlying benefit. So each and every use case, I know that from the digital transformation, some of my co-speakers can also agree, the use cases are in plethora. There are so many use cases in abundance. But very important is that your resources often are limited. So how do you prioritize? You prioritize based on 3 parameters. One is the understanding of the business and the priority of the business. Number 2 is the readiness of the system. That readiness may come in form of your infrastructure. Readiness may come from in terms of the stakeholder understanding and whether they are ready to take. And third, of course, is the business benefit. Once you implement, how much business benefit you are going to garner out of that particular successful use case. So we basically follow and cater to this particular ground rule and try to implement them one after another. The last one in this particular area is another whereby often organizations try to achieve the operational efficiency. So when you talk about operational efficiency, that's typically the third bucket, whereby a number of non-cerebral and repetitive processes can also get automated with the help of an area called robotic process automation, whereby you basically identify and automate with the help of software bots a number of repetitive processes. So right now at Vikram Solar, we are basically working across all these different buckets. Over to you, Amit.
Great. No, thank you. It's very comprehensive. Seems like, we have a very well-defined implementation plan that we have kind of been running. So glad to kind of know it. And I will pick 2 areas from what you just said, Somit. So I think you started with, and you talked about the maintenance part of it, like how do you kind of visually you are kind of seeing the solar plant. So that maintenance part, I think it's really kind of an important. And then, so maybe I'll kind of maybe get a little more deeper here. So predictive maintenance or preventive maintenance, correct? We are just kind of shuffling between here. And I have still seen that, predictive maintenance, while we are still much better in terms of where we were earlier, but it has still not penetrated in all the plants. And we know that high value assets are there in majorly every plant has a high value assets, right? So let's maybe understand. So how much of benefits are we seeing on the predictive maintenance side of it in terms of because this also needs a bit of an investment and it's a long-term to basically really see the impact coming in. So Mayank, can I request you, considering, you are in a process plant, cement manufacturing, and then, so what are your thoughts on predictive maintenance? What are your advice for the people who are on the fence, basically considering, which way to go, whether to kind of invest the money and then go through it, build their own models, and then and start kind of predicting? What's your advice for everyone?
Yeah, good afternoon all. Thanks for inviting me in this panel discussion. Yes, as Soumyadeep just says, for this IoT, there can be many use cases. If you are asking, starting from fleet management, GRN, quality checking, sampling cases. In our cases, back counting software, and in all the plants, sensors are there provided by FLS Smith or Siemens or Rockwell. There are all number of things are there, and all the change control unit and the dashboard and the headers are there in respective plant. But taking a data from all the plants, coming into a single dashboard repository, and then check predictive maintenance. When server, especially in our cement line, the clean works on 1400 to 1500 degrees centigrade. And if it stops functioning or it's malfunction also, sometimes that it creates a big repercussion on cement manufacturing. So it's kind of predictive maintenance when it particular clean or the machine is going to be a maintenance part, when it is a scheduled maintenance, then what will be my failover or backover plan during the maintenance time to avoid any kind of production slippage and to continue my production and dispatches system. So yes, we are in working right now a term called historian, and we have worked with multiple, we have evaluated multiple company solutions. We are taking a data from multiple sources, bringing into a kind of MIS at the plant level. And now we have done that part. Now next level, taking the core data inputs, bring it to a central level and check what went wrong, when is supposed to be a scheduled maintenance, and how I can avoid the slippage in production. Yeah, over to you, Amit.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for bringing these points in. So let's now talk about the, where we started earlier on the data-led decision making, and then how cloud is helping there. And Deepak, can I come to you and then ask you, basically, considering in Asian Paints there, at least whatever I have come across, I've heard, Asian Paints has definitely led from the front in the usage of the data analytics and the AI. There are so much of work that Asian Paints have done on the using the AI and ML and then got the real benefits. So would you please share what are the with others, what are the things that that has been done, and what maybe it's on your radar, or what could be the advice that would be there for everyone?
Yeah, sure, Amit. Thanks for this opportunity. Just take you through what our journey has been in this space. Asian Paints being pretty early in this game has always done forward investments, typically when it comes to technology, because there's a strong belief within the organization that technology is the one which can get you this competitive differentiators. And one area which probably we have been doing well was in the entire field of reporting and analytics. In fact, our journey goes way back in 2012 when we first laid the foundations of actually doing data analytics. And that's where when we said, let's look at the KPIs across the organization, find out which position operates with what KPIs, what is the type of information which is required to perform better in that KPIs, to take a better decision. And that's where we brought data from various sources together and try to do some basic dashboarding reporting. So it was largely in the space of being very descriptive type of reporting and what's happened, just analyze that. But then technology has been changing so fast, and we realized that there's huge opportunity which is coming by when you look at the entire world of AI, ML, and can you move your organization from being from the descriptive zone to more into the predictive or prescriptive zone? And that's where we said, hey, this is a huge opportunity for us to lay the second layer of innovation or second layer of competitiveness across the organization. So what we did was we said, let's craft something like an insight-driven organization? Can we really, as an organization, go on the path of being an IDO or insight-driven organization? And then we said, let's define what IDO is. And then we said, an IDO typically is embeds analysis, data, reasoning into the decision-making process on a near daily basis. It actively looks at collecting data and automating decisions whatever possible. So if it believes that there is a certain area which needs where better decisions can be taken and no data points are there today, then it will start now in terms of planning so that you have enough data by 18 months so that you can create those models. And third and most important is about it's not technical, it's more about the cultural aspect of decision making in an organization. So we felt if you have all these three components, you are on the path of being a data-driven organization. And if you look at it's the whole thing was about how do you improve the quality of decision making, because decision making, as I always say, if you look at the spectrum of decision making, on one end of the spectrum, a lot of organizations today in India are very, very intuition driven, or the person with the largest experience typically calls the shots, or what I call it as a hippo, the highest individual paid person's opinion. When he said, most probably in this call, a lot of us might be hippos because we probably have that experience, and people generally listen because we go purely by intuition, by experience. But then the world has changed, and you have the technology companies, the Netflixes of the world, which are doing decisions completely based on data, right? The next Netflix movie actually is based on what users' data is throwing up. So how do you move the organization more towards being data-driven and then insight-driven organization? And that is what we said. And to do that, the leadership needs to get aware of it. The leadership needs to get energized, and they need to really take it as an agenda to improve their own functional competitiveness or their own functional KPIs. Once we had that, then we said, let's look at areas where you can actually go about creating small POCs and then amplify the results of those POCs so that everybody in the organization sees that. And we picked up manufacturing as an area, probably it was two and a half years ago. And then we realized that we have some of the most automated paint plants in the world, and there's a lot of data on the OT side. So how about getting the entire data at one place? That is your data from the DCS, MES, the SAP systems, and the other connected devices there, and take it to the cloud and start creating a digital twin of your entire manufacturing facility, which means that you have a replica to work with before you take any decision. So if you want to take a decision on reducing cycle time, can you start testing and hypothesis in the digital twin? And then seeing how it is responding, then go about implementing that action within the physical plant. So that really worked for us in terms of we aligned with a startup in San Francisco, and were able to get to build this digital twin, because it's a very complex process of integrating structured, unstructured data, harmonizing it, taking it to the cloud, running the AI/ML models, and then creating that digital twin. It takes time and effort. And being early, we had to do a lot of learning. It was like failing fast, but picking up and really getting going on that. So once we had that, we really saw the impact of using this in the plans to improve the level of decision making. So the people who were taking a certain level of decision suddenly started taking executive decisions because it was all there in the form of dashboards, insightful dashboards. And that really started fueling a lot of innovative ideas which started coming to the plants, ideas related to reducing cycle time, getting it right the first time, progressive maintenance. It could be a lot related to safety. So a lot of things started flowing in, and that really set a chain in terms of really everyone outdoing each other at a plant level in terms of coming with the next best idea. And so that became, and cultural, that formed some sort of a cultural, and that spread across to other plants. And as I speak today, I think I'm very happy with the way we have gone about this whole thing. And it's a pretty exciting phase which we're getting into. And once the rest of the organization, the rest of the function start seeing this, they in a sense would want to replicate the success in their areas, and the IT folks suddenly become from normal human beings, they become supermen, and they are in demand.
I think we all are. It seems like everyone is Superman now. So, but very, very comprehensive. I mean, I think whatever you brought in, it seems like there is a lot of work has already gone in. So, I will ask the same question, and maybe I'll just switch in the industry, correct? So while you talked about from a chemical industry point of view, I think the similar usage I'm seeing of the data in the pharma also. So Manu, in the pharma industry, data is extremely important, right? There's a lot of analysis that happens, right? Maybe at every level, whether we are doing the drug discoveries from to even the manufacturing and everywhere, whether we are talking of supply chains also. So how are you using the data in your organizations? What kind of work that you have done in the last, say, couple of years? Where you have moved towards a data-driven organization.
So as a pharma industry, as everyone knows, is a very primitive still in terms of the digital transformation. And we are still catching up to the Asian paints or the automation industries. But I would really want to say that out in pharma, we really take care of the data, as the data is being scrutinized, audited, and really goes through the fine tooth and fine combing. So again, cloud is a strategy that we as a pharma, we were never very comfortable at till now, but now with the major industries like AWS and all the other big cloud service providers like Google, Microsoft are coming into the picture with the complete capabilities of CSV, that validations. They provide the pharma adherence. So after that, there is still a hope or a move that is coming in the pharma that we can move to the cloud, and we have started seeing that newer modules and newer tools that we are creating in the system, and we are taking the cloud support towards all the solutions regarding the new tools. In terms of digital transformations, I would say, we definitely have seen a good post in terms of whether we see pharmacovigilance, whether we see R&D, whether we see the good integration between the LIMS, the QMS, the DMS of the systems. So these systems are getting tightly integrated with the machines. We are getting the real-time data. These data are directly getting into the batch managed records, auto-posted out there, so that manufacturing records are created, which can say that no human intervention has gone into place. We can prove that the records are being created as the production has gone through. We have AI systems in place where we can directly look into these data and see how much deviations we are getting created with the golden batch kind of environment, or what are the ideal manufacturing scenarios we have. So the quality control is also getting into side by side inbuilt in the process. Onto that, basically data-driven decisions, I would say we are still lagging in, especially pharma. We are lagging into this frame. We are more into a set of rules, set of SOPs that we have to follow. If there is a deviation in those SOPs, we have to go back and redo the whole batch and redo the whole manufacturing. But at the same time, the kind of control, the real-time data that we are receiving, and how we are making sure that these deviations do not occur at the first place. How can we get an early alert of where we are getting out of the boundary lines of these deviations? These are the areas we are highly focused on. We are making sure that the manufacturing process, the quality process, and before that, the whole supply chain process can be tightly integrated together to make a drug that is successful, auditable in terms of all CPR compliances.
Sure, great, thanks. So let me, I think I know we just had now 5-7 more minutes. So, and the one area that I really want to talk about is on the, how do we help on the visual inspection side? Because that's the use case. I mean, I have been to any plants. I mean, you all would have seen it in all of your plants. There is visual inspection is everywhere, at least in the finished goods, we are seeing visual inspection happening. But I really see the role of AI-based computer vision is a tremendous potential to help the industry in automating the quality process, especially from the visual inspection point of view, I'm saying. So I think that's the idea I would definitely like to talk upon. And Puneet, I mean, can I ask you to kind of give some examples, because I'm sure, like while in our earlier discussions you really talked about some of these. So can I request you to talk about how have you seen computer vision helping the quality inspection processes?
Absolutely, Amit. This is probably one of my favorite areas to talk about, simply because it has given the power into the hand of human being to do things more accurately, close to human nature, and within fraction of seconds that no other technology has been able to do. And at AWS, we constantly thrive to provide these kind of technologies to enable our customers, such as so many of you are on this call, to be able to adopt these technologies and build use cases that are very unique. I'll give you some examples, right? Most of the time when I'm talking to any large manufacturing, whether it's discrete or process or batch, the first thing that I'm getting is, we've got a lot of data, to your initial point. And I think Somadeep also touched upon that point around defect detection, right? How can I reduce my defects? And more importantly, they don't want to use any intrusive technologies. They want to be, as lean as possible on getting newer devices into the factory. And that's where technologies such as AI, computer vision comes into picture, that helps you bring that real-time data, historical data, training a model, and kind of delivering that output or the outcome that you're looking at. If my memory serves right, while I was in US about a year ago, I was working with a company where they were looking at reducing the defects. And by using AI vision, they were able to reduce 96% of their defect, which is huge, humongous, right? Think of this way: if people can use a camera and some edge inference space capability to reduce a defect to a 96%, that's huge. Now, can every business achieve that? Probably no. But there is a significant improvement, evolution that has happened, which is helping a lot of customers through our partners to improve on defect detection. Second, computer vision and AI not only helping in the defect detection, but also in safety and surveillance. We've got so many partners building solution on AI vision where they can actually stop a forklift, a machine, citing a human being going into a direction which may cause a fatality or an accident, like workplace related injuries that we talk about, right, in today's industry. So that's second area where we have seen a lot of investments going in, a lot of evolution happening, and a lot of partners and customers enjoying it. So these are two main areas where I've seen people are adopting AI and vision, computer vision, to take some business insight, find some business insight, make some decisions, and kind of take next steps or next leap forward towards building better products and better experiences. Back to you.
Great, thanks. I hope, we have some more time. I have still 2 more questions that I really need to bring in. So if you can stay for 5 more minutes. I think on this same topic, computer vision, Yogesh, I think you have implemented a wrinkle detection system in your organization. So I think that definitely I would like everyone to know about it. So would you just take maybe just a minute or 2 quickly and help us understand, because that's really a unique. And so
absolutely, for car seats, it's most important thing is how a product visual inspection happens. I know earlier scenarios, it used to be only on tapping exercise by the technicians, and then it used to go around for the logistics to ship it. However, with the new mechanisms that are there in the place, we take about 1600 odd images for the finished good in probably 5 seconds on a 3D modeling. And then it tells us as a result, wherever those are green boxes and where are the red boxes, like traffic lights. And then accordingly, it gets passed through the QC mechanisms before it gets hosted to the trucks for the shipment. So it's very, very unique, but very important because it was a labor intensive work, which was a low hanging fruit for us to address, saved cost, saved logistics, and saved overall aesthetics of the product. That could be 1 minute answer. I can talk about 35 minutes also, but we'll keep it for some other day. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we'll spend some more time, but definitely, I mean, you have mastered the art of Poka Yoga, right? So you have all the right signals in place, green and red. So yes, great. Thank you, Yogesh. So Shridhar, I mean, I think you have been patiently listening since long. I mean, so I started with you, and then I tried kind of getting point of views from everyone on the different areas. But I definitely wanted to kind of have my last question with you again, because you're the one who's kind of talking to maybe all of us or all different industry leaders and talking to them to understand their pain points, to understand the challenge they're facing, and also help them or guide them on what they should be doing. Right? So now you have listened to the use cases. We talked about whether it is from visual inspection, condition monitoring, supply chain, all real-time decision making. So would be great to kind of now have your thoughts, especially on of these use cases. What are the top 4 or 5 use cases that you are seeing very critical for across the industries that you're seeing? I mean, I know there will be tons, but say if you have to say, highlight some of those top use cases, and how are you seeing those strategies, like, I mean, cloud strategy, or I mean, using the AI and ML with a data-led insight is kind of helping on these use cases. So.
Yeah, thanks. I think, again, great question there, Amit. So, I think that people have touched upon all the right use cases, and there are exactly these which are being looked at by almost every organization. So one is at the foundation layer, which is how do I connect all my equipment within the shop floor so that they can give me the real-time visibility from which I can then do something further. And there are these use cases around, let's say, quality, predictive analytics, right? But also there are a few more that are getting looked at. One, for example, is energy, right? And that as an important lever for cost of production. One of the things that we are hearing is, can we do something to improve the cost of energy, right? And both from a power perspective as well as from a fuel perspective. So that's one. The other is in terms of looking at, how can manpower productivity improve, right? And that's the other thing that has become very important given, the COVID-19 scenario. And that is because there was a time when there was significant disruption in availability of manpower. And then you had also other, aspects around saying that, do I have the right manpower who is flexible enough to respond to the disruptions that are happening in the downstream and the upstream? And therefore, manpower productivity. So use cases around manpower productivity. And some of these could be in terms of saying that, okay, do I have the right manpower at the right place in my shop floor? And if, let us say, somebody who's not trained is being assigned to a particular activity, am I able to get that as an alert, and am I able to address it very quickly? So that's coming up as a use case. The use of AR and VR for training purposes, and therefore supporting people on the shop floor, right? And it's, even if it is not about training, how can we, for example, connect the people on the shop floor to subject matter experts who may not necessarily be able to travel, or who may not be able to, provide or travel or get to that point of the shop floor immediately? So can we provide guidance through vision-based? The other thing that I think is also coming up is, how do we connect with suppliers on the upstream and therefore get visibility about what's happening at their side? How do we connect with, the logistics? And therefore, the other area that's coming up is in terms of, command centers or control towers to look at the entire value chain and be able to get some of these insights, be able to do what if analysis, be able to run some simulations based on what may be happening. So these are some of the additional use cases that are coming up. But I think that in essence, while these use cases are being worked upon by every organization, one of the key things that I think is very, very critical is what do we do with the insights that have come up, right? And therefore, are we limiting this to the insights, or is there a mechanism in place, an operating model in place to convert these insights into action and then that action into benefits? And I think that that's something that every organization is now trying to look at, that how do we integrate all of these use cases with my existing systems, with my existing work processes, so that it is leading to an immediate benefit for the organization and a sustainable one at that. So those are some of the key things that I thought are coming up now.
Great, thank you. And you really kind of covered the areas where, in fact, me too, I have seen, so being kind of from an ASCOM, so like we are also interacting with many organizations over the past couple of years, and absolutely what the use cases that you just highlighted, these are the right areas which are there on the mind of everyone. So I think it was a very insightful discussion. I'm not sure how much more time we have, so I think maybe we'll have to kind of wrap this up. It's been great to kind of listen to your views. The kind of perspectives we got from every industry on the areas that we all are working upon. I think they're really very, very much insightful. In fact, so it's itself kind of giving a lot of insight-driven kind of learning. So thank you for sharing all your views. Any last minute points anyone has? Anyone would like to kind of add something to whatever we just spoke or reflect on it? Simple, I'm just kind of a little worried about time. So, but do we have a few more minutes, or we really need to wrap it up?
Sure, 2 minutes. Any closing words anyone has to say? Please go ahead.
I'll take that baton probably, maybe before somebody takes it. Just wanted to tell that going digital is not a magic wand. Going digital is not also a footprint change. Going digital is just a state of mind, going from your x-axis towards from your bottom line to achieve your top line. So think in that perspective, take a CFO's thought process into consideration before going digital. Second, for Industry 4.0, consider a couple of line items, that is, wherever there is repetitive approaches, wherever there is human interventions and safety, and, like one of the team members suggested, high temperature zone areas where human safety is involved in it. For us, it's a foam baking operations. That's where most of the organizations have to think of, where there is a smart way of doing it, where we can bring the industry revolution and bring more safety precautions for a human workforce. Thank you.
Just taking a cue from what Yogesh just said, maybe just a couple of points on this. I think one very key aspect for the Industry 4.0, at the same time the digital transformation, is that we are not basically denying the human factor, because otherwise, no matter how good, how state-of-the-art system or solution you can build, no matter how much insightful things or engines you can build, but at the same time, the people or the takers of that somewhere, somehow, will be the human beings. Okay, be it the CXOs or be it for Industry 4.0, many a times it will be the shifting charges. or maybe the production heads. So therefore, it is very important and key aspect to how to bring the human side of it along with it. You not only focus on building a great system, but at the same time carry out the change management, make sure that the people who are going to actually use it and make it more business friendly and at the same time useful and realize the real benefit. They are basically geared up to it. They are basically excited about it. So a great aspect for digital transformation is to get the human element along. And therefore, the last point, we spoke about the image analytics, we spoke about the visual detection. Puneet brought a very nice point of how to reduce the error to as high as 96%. Another view could also be, along with that, how can you ensure that this particular solution aids the manual intervention with there? So you don't basically cut the human being, because typically the business benefit of defect analytics or image analytics does not lie in just reducing one or two people. The real benefit comes when you actually reduce the type 1 and the type 2 errors, because there comes your tremendous business benefit. So how you can use it, not to eliminate the people, but to make them more effective, and so that your overall result can be achieved and people are excited about it. Those are my two parting words. Thank you.
Thank you. And you covered human element, I think, which is, thanks for bringing in, because I think I can't miss talking about design thinking, without doing, for anything that we do. So I think one thing that everywhere, I keep talking about, and Shridhar, I'm sure you will agree much more than anyone else. Design thinking is the way to kind of make sure that we really identify all the right areas that are needed in the organization and have a well-defined plan that will be acceptable to the users also, because a lot of time we work on building a solution which doesn't get used so often. So I think let's kind of keep design thinking also on the radar. It's a great tool and a great approach. I'm actually a fan of it. So couldn't miss talking about it. So
yeah, just from my side, last 30 seconds to sum it up. I think there was some great learning in the conversations. I really want to thank you all. But I just want to call out 5 things, right, which I gathered today from Mr. Prabhakar. I think you said disaster recovery resiliency, absolutely spot on. Then I heard Soumya talking about defect detection is driving the business predictions. From there, I think I heard from Mr. Dhaval on security and building the right architecture. And last but not the least, Deepak brought some great points around moving the organization to a data-driven organization and pushing down the decision-making capacity in the value chain rather than just waiting for somebody at higher up to do those things. So I think these are some great learnings and great insights. I'm sure these will help a lot of other customers and partners in our space to build more solutions to help all of us. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Puneet, for summarizing it. I think that's really what we talked about. So great. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Yeah, Mr. Prabhakar.
I just wanted to add, I think on behalf of the pharma fraternity, while we are working on the industry 4.0, pharma is also looking at pharma 4.0. And I must thank all the participants in this group who could actually give some insights from the other industry verticals. We know about Asian Paints. I am personally aware of Asian Paints. I've been following Asian Paints as far as the IT initiatives are concerned for probably 2-3 decades now. And glad to have you as part of this session also, Deepak. And good to know that how the decision making is getting kind of percolated downwards. It's a very good initiative, or rather I would say it's a good paradigm shift. Okay, so likewise, we never know the depth of the seat making industry. We only know one part is the ergonomics. Okay, but good to know about the other details that go into it. There are good learnings from the overall session. I think, with stalwarts like Shridhar and Puneet and Amit, Dhaval. I think we had Soumya also. We had good interaction. I must thank all of you. We had a good time. I think good learnings and good take home points. Thank you for organizing this, and thank you for inviting me also in this.
Thank you for the ET team to making this happen and then bringing all of us together. It was real pleasure to kind of and to talk to everyone. And I think as all of us just reiterated, this was fantastic discussion. There's a lot of learning we all had, and looking forward to be in touch and have a lot more discussions as we kind of went forward. So thank you, everyone. Over to you.
Thank you, Amit, for taking us through such an enlightening session. I would also like to thank all the speakers for coming on this platform and sharing the knowledge and expertise with us. Thank you once again for joining this session powered by Amazon Internet Services and Deloitte. We look forward to seeing you all more for our sessions in the future. This is Dimple Bajwa signing off. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and happy Diwali, everyone. Bye-bye.
Same to you.
Happy Diwali.
Same to you.